Welcome to Unity of Wilmington's virtual service. We're located in Wilmington, North Carolina. My name is Reverend Nikki Golden. I'm one of the co-ministers here. The other co-minister is Reverend Mindy Tucker. She'll be giving you the lesson today. We are a community that invites you to tune into your heart, to allow your heart to open, expand, to know that there is only love. We invite you to be involved in that process of transformation so that your life can be filled with joy, with peace, and with harmony. We're a community that believes there is only one presence and one power active in this universe, and we call that presence and power God. I invite you to use whatever name works for you. Do not let the name be the obstacle to your opening, to your expression, and to your fullest life. Let's take these thoughts into a moment of prayer. Breathing into that space inside of us where we experience. We move from knowledge to experience of our oneness with God. We may close our outer eyes or we may hold them open, feeling safe, feeling loved, feeling that possibility that we are stepping into in this moment. With gratitude for the life that is, for the very fact that we woke up today and here we are together in this moment, in spite of any distance that may be felt, we can remember and know heart to heart that we are connected in our hearts. We are connected in our minds. We are connected in the field, that unified field of the universe. And with gratitude, with joy, and a solid foundation of love, we give thanks. Amen.
Sometimes it's easier to hide away when the winter comes and it's shorter days. But I know dark clouds won't stay. Tomorrow is gonna be better. Sometimes it's easier to hit the road when the world is giving you a heavy load. But if you stay and face it, I know tomorrow is gonna be better. Let the rain fall, let the rain fall, till the day is new, and all that's left is just me and you. The best part of us is part of me, so with you is where I'd rather be. If you try to understand, I still believe tomorrow is gonna be better. Let the rain fall, let the rain fall, till the day is new, and all that's left is just me and you. I know it's just one of those days, but you stay strong. I'm gonna find a way to take it on, make it okay. Tomorrow is gonna be better. Tomorrow is gonna be better. Let the rain fall, let the rain fall, till the day is new. All that's left is just me and you. Let the rain fall, let the rain fall, till the day is new. All that's left is just me and you. All that's left is just me and you. All that's left is just me and you.
for being with us today. Unity is a spiritual movement that marks its beginning with the publication of a magazine called Modern Thought in April of 1890. Unity is a way of life based on the confluence of mysticism, metaphysics, and mind cure. Mysticism is all about our oneness with God, our oneness with all of life. Mysticism is that knowing, that realization that we have and exist in this oneness all the time. It's just sometimes we forget. Metaphysics is the science behind what is real, what appears to be real. Metaphysics is that understanding or that explanation, or it's the foundation of what we use to form a spiritual toolkit. And mind cure. Wow. Mind cure. Mind cure is about the transformative power in each and every one of us that we use to shape our experiences. Mind cure is the directive force that we apply to our everyday thinking and feeling. Our everyday thinking and feeling. It's the directive force. It's how we shape, change, move, transform, and evolve our consciousness. We have the power. We have 100% control over the attention we give our thoughts and feelings. I want you to please listen to every word in that sentence. We have 100% control over the attention we give our thoughts and feelings. I didn't say we have 100% control of our thoughts and feelings, because we don't actually. Thoughts and feelings naturally arise in us. But we have the 100% control over what attention, what power, what life we give them. Thoughts and feelings thrive with attention. They feel nurtured and they grow when we pay attention to them. Think about a time when you were with a group of people and a topic of conversation came up. It could be anything. It could be non-controversial, or it could be controversial. It could be about politics or social justice or about the impact of the pandemic. And one person contributes a thought, and then another person contributes a thought, and feelings begin to shift. And pretty soon the feelings and the thoughts are all riled up. Because people, our feelings and our thoughts are fed by the drama of the story. And this can be good if we are working to generate a positive impact, or it could maybe not be so good when the experience or the condition that gets created is the byproduct of negative nurturing. Mind and matter are interrelated. We give power, life, and attention to our thoughts and feelings, and thus we create our experience. Or we can pay them no never mind. We can pay them no mind. I was in Detroit on business, and I love this phrase, pay them no mind. I was in Detroit on business last November, and I specifically timed my trip, my arrival, so that I could spend time with a colleague and her husband, Phil. They're always really good to me when I go to visit them. I actually stay with them when I go to Unity Village. So here I am with them, and then there's a whole crowd of people that join us for a meal, and I have the impulse, the feeling that's followed by a thought to treat everybody for this meal. So when the waitress came over and said, "Who gets the check? Is it together or separate?" I raised my hand and I said, "I'll pay." And then Phil gets this really sneaky grin on his face, and he says, "I'll pay." There was a beat, and he said, "I'll pay you no mind." Oh my gosh, we laughed. We laughed until we cried. So yes, that's what we can do with thoughts and feelings that arise that we don't want to give any attention to. We can give them no mind. Or we can treat them like a bus. Reverend Nikki's always telling us, thoughts and feelings are like buses, and there we are at the bus stop. Here comes a bus. Do we want to get on? No, we can let that bus go right on by. I always say, treat them like white fluffy clouds on a summer day. Wow, there goes another undesirable thought. Wow, there goes an unwanted thought altogether. We can let them go by. We can pay them no mind. Or, if necessary, we can employ spiritual tools to support us in allowing our attention to move elsewhere. One of the most fundamental spiritual tools, one of the most foundational spiritual tools in Unity is a practice we call denial. Denial, we are denying them any power. We can trace the roots of the practice of denial back to Jesus. Jesus said, deny them in Matthew 16. And if we want to trace it further back, we can go further and we can look at the metaphysics that is put out by Plato in his allegory. Things that we see in the real world are but a shadow of what exists in the absolute. They aren't real. We don't have to pay attention to them. We don't have to pay them mind. When we create all the time. And conditions that are existing in our lives are there because we either collectively or individually have thought and felt them into existence. And if we have thought and felt them into existence, we can rethink and re-feel them right out of existence. We have that capacity, and in Unity we call it the mind cure. It's direct application of transformative, thought-changing activity within us that allows us to transform. When we change our mind, we are opening ourselves up to transformation. When we rethink and re-feel something, we are opening our consciousness up to evolution. We are hardwired for evolution, and ultimately, it's easier on us, no matter how difficult it feels. It sometimes feels like a salmon swimming upstream. No matter how difficult it feels to reformulate our thinking and re-attention and repurpose our feeling, we can do that because we are hardwired to transform. We have that flexibility in all those brain things that science tells us about. We can rethink our conditions. And in Unity, we begin to rethink them by using a practice that's called denial. Emily Cady wrote Unity's first textbook called Lessons in Truth. And in it, she says, one of the methods that they have found will work every time in getting rid of troublesome conditions, which are all the result of erroneous thinking and feeling, is to deny them in toto. So we have the capacity within us to deny anything the power to make us unhappy. The impact of troublesome conditions are because we chose to get on that bus. The impact of troublesome conditions are because we chose to give attention to chasing that white fluffy cloud. The outworking of troublesome conditions ends. It ends when we say no in consciousness. Now that can be a very gentle no, or it can be a ninja no. But it is a no nonetheless. In Unity, we considered that there are 4 great denials. And the first one is, there is no evil. There's only one presence and one power, a presence and power we call God. There is no separate energy. There is no separate entity that exists all by itself, waiting out there for bad things to be created. There is only God, and God is good. The second one is there is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere. This is a great denial if you're struggling with abundance or prosperity. When we feel like we don't have any energy left, when we can't seem to put our hands on money or resources that would support us, when we can't seem to come up with a new idea to get us out of the dilemma or the challenge or the problem that we find ourselves enmeshed in, there is this great denial so that we can remember, number one, that there's at least one more ounce of energy within us to take the next right step. There is the capacity within us to remember that God is our source. Our bank account is not our source. Our job is not our source. Our retirement fund is not our source. God is our source. And finally, we can always go within. We can always go within and access that wisdom, that divine wisdom that's part of our divine nature that we were born with. All we have to do is pause. Take a breath. Pause. Take a breath. Tune in. And allow that inner wisdom to emerge. Number 3, pain, sickness, poverty, old age, and death cannot master me, for they are not real. They cannot master us. Our soul is eternal. These thoughts only have the power that we give them. These feelings only have the power that we give them. They cannot master us unless we invite them in. And boy, howdy, is there one up there that is such a strong thought and feeling current in our consciousness that we believe there's no overcoming. Whether it's a gentle no or a ninja no, we can deny this power. And the last one is there is nothing in the universe for me to fear. Well, shut the front door. Shut the front door because we have a lot to be afraid of. In fact, we've been afraid of things our whole life, both rational and irrational. We have been marinating in fear our whole life. So how can there possibly be a denial that works that says there is nothing for me to fear? You know, I think Emily Cady was very clever. She was very clever and strategic in the way she ordered these denials. Because for me growing up in Unity, I totally get number 1. So for me, number 1 is okay. And number 2 is okay. Number 3 is really? And number 4 is pretty much, I don't think so. I don't think so until I think and feel that I could return to principle. Well, I could return to principle. God is omnipotent. He's all power. God is omniscience. He's all knowing. God is omnipresence, present in everything and everyone. Greater is He that is within me. That means greater am I in my divine nature when I tune into my birthright, the way that I was created in the image and likeness of God. When I tune into that, I am greater than anything, any condition, any problem, any challenge, any obstacle. See, I'm denying them. They all have no power over me when I choose to take away my attention of my thinking and feeling from them. I think number 4 is the hardest. It's the hardest. Because as I've said, we have marinated in fear our whole life. There's so much to be afraid of. We don't have to look far to find something to be afraid of. We've been taught to fear. And fear itself, while it's a natural feeling, a natural emotion that arises in us, it is not our natural state. But we continue to give attention to our thoughts and our feelings of fear because they are a habit. They are a habit. Habits are good because they bring us back to God every time. They help us in all kinds of ways. We never have to think about, where to find our credit card because we have a habit of putting it in the same place all the time. We don't have to usually have a hard time finding our keys because we have a habit of putting them in the same place every time. It's like, do we know where that goes in the car? Yes, we have a habit because it goes in the same place every time. But fear also can be a habit, and we can stay immersed in this habit and attached to this habit and get lazy in this habit so much that we begin to identify with fear. All of our self-identified fears because we've become on autopilot for fear. We dwell in fear because it's our habit to do so. And we become self-identified with fear instead of remembering faith, our divine nature. Now, Joe Dispenza, who's a physician, metaphysician, and mind cure master, teaches us that we can break the habit of being ourself. We can break the habit of self-identifying with fear. And the very first step is mystical. The very first step is to come into a remembrance of our oneness with the quantum field, he calls it. So come back into a remembrance and awareness of that quantum field, that we're in a quantum field, and in that quantum field, where our attention goes, that's where energy grows. Where we place our attention, we're giving life to thoughts and feelings, because that's how quantum works. So we're mystic all the time, but we just have to remember it, and remember it that we, as an expression of the divine, as our oneness with God, we have that phenomenal creative power. And once we come into alignment, then we can overcome our environment, we can overcome ailments in our physical body, and we can even overcome time. Now, in Unity, we begin this overcoming of our environment, of our physical body, and of time. We begin this overcoming with the denial. There is no evil. We begin it by saying there is no evil. And then we say there is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere. Pain, sickness, poverty, old age cannot master me. There is nothing in the universe for me to fear. That is the very beginning of transformation in our lives. The very beginning. And it happens within us. It happens when we go within. Now, we call this allowing our faith to lead us into meditation. And why do we say faith? Because faith is the power within us that has the ability to shape substance. It's the perceiving power of the mind that we have, that we link with our ability to shape substance. It's where we bring mind and matter together. So with faith, we go into meditation. Joe Dispenza says the real work, the swimming upstream work, is in meditation. And this is why. He says, when you meditate and connect to something greater, you can create and then memorize such coherence between your thoughts and feelings that nothing in your outer reality, that shadow, no thing, no person, no connection at any place or time could move you from that level of energy. Now you are mastering your environment, your body, and your time. all of the intelligence of God is within you. All of the substance of God, the goodness of God, is available to you. And it begins in this sacred experience that we call meditation, where the mind accelerates faster, where the heart beats quicker, where the cells in your body are more receptive to the messages, to that coherence, that unity of thought and feeling in a very binding way. Now, positive thoughts and feelings are usually defined as and include thoughts and feelings like joy and peace and love, prosperity and well-being. So when we take a positive thought and bind it with an elevated emotion in meditation, we're actually cementing that coherence then that we can carry forward when we come back into the world. It works the same way when we look at negative thoughts and feelings. Negative thoughts and feelings include ones like sadness and fear and anger. When we take a negative thought and bind it with a depressed emotion, we are also going to get coherence, a coherence that brings about stress and invites us to go into protection mode and eventually leads us to dis-ease. And what is the common denominator? It's us. We're the common denominator. So we're the ones that can choose to get on the bus. We're the ones who can choose to chase down that cloud. We're the ones who can pay something no mind if we choose to. Or we can choose wellness. We can choose to grow. We can choose transformation. We can choose to thrive. Now, I know a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I want to turn to the work of Bruce Lipton, the author of The Biology of Belief. He's a something that I'm not thinking of right now, but he's really a master and a mystic and a metaphysician on his own. And he has a picture that looks like this. Here's dis-ease. When we choose coherence with negative thoughts and feelings, we actually cause more stress in our life, and the more stress we cause, because we're in that flight or fight mode of protection, we're going to invite the dis-ease in our body to come forth. Or we're going to go into positive coherence. We're going to think thoughts of joy and happiness and peace. Oh, peace, deep peace and prosperity and wellness and abundance. We can move this way and have coherence between positive thoughts and elevated emotions. Now, Bruce Lipton says we can get rid of the stressors, we can deny them, we can stop thinking them, but if getting rid of the stressors and denying them any power, if that's all we do, then we only come to zero. We have to replace them with positive thoughts and feelings in order to transform, to grow, and to come into a state of coherence that's well-being. Spiritual work, spiritual play. If you start treating it like spiritual play, people will look at you funny, but you know the truth. You know the truth, whether you consider it play or work. It's that confluence of mysticism, remembering the oneness with God and all of life. Oneness that we have with the divine. Remembering that we are an expression of the divine, that we have an innate divine nature. It's about metaphysics. It's about using the science, using the philosophy to move us to where we want to be, to give us a greater understanding of how everything is put together in the universe. And mind cure, our attention, putting 100% of our attention on what we want. Putting 100% of our attention on thoughts and feelings of wellness, of peace, of joy, of growth, of thriving, of vitality. Deny this. Affirm this. And your lives will change. Your lives will change. And how do we do this? Well, I have a suggestion. And it's a series of denials, followed by an affirmation. There is no evil. And this is something for you to say aloud. There is no evil. There is no evil. There is no absence of life, substance, or intelligence anywhere. Pain, sickness, poverty, old age, and death cannot master me. There is nothing in the universe for me to fear. With faith, I transmute my old self into someone new. I transmute my old self into someone new. So the question becomes, how can you live in your highest and best? How can you express the most of your divine nature that you possibly can? Denial, affirmation. There is no evil. There is no lack of substance, life, intelligence, poverty, sickness, old age cannot master me. There is nothing to fear. I transmute myself now. So let's take that with a breath, with great faith and great courage into a time of meditation. Breathing in, breathing out, finding a place for our body to relax, closing our outer eyes to reduce the stimulus and attention we give our outer world. Begin the journey to go within a heart and mind that is one with the divine, that moves and breathes, that beats and flows with great courage, great assurance, and great faith. Taking the perceiving power of our mind and linking it with our ability to shape substance, to notice thoughts that arise in us, to notice feelings that begin to permeate in us, and say, today I choose to pay you no mind. I gently and firmly deny that you have any power to master me. You have no influence over my circumstances. You have no influence over my potential. I choose to bring in thoughts and I pay attention to give life to give power to thoughts and feelings of joy, inspiration, creativity, generosity, and well-being. I am created in the image and likeness of the divine. I am one with God, and God is good. I am one with God, and God is good. With faith, I choose to transmute my old self and emerge just as a butterfly emerges from a cocoon. I emerge into a whole new world, a world filled with vitality, with allies on my spiritual journey. With faith, I take positive thoughts and bind them to elevated emotion so that I return to my conscious world rested, restored, resourced with all that is and all that I need to succeed. With faith, I transmute my old self and step into a new way of being. And with that coherence in me, alive in me, I come back to this time, this place, my universe, my friendly universe that's filled with allies. With my coherence, I bring my attention back into my body. I notice I have overcome my environment. I have overcome time. I am renewed, refreshed, rejuvenated, resourced. I am ready to be me. So it is, and so we let it be.
It's with great gratitude that we thank you for the tithes and offerings that you have given to us, for your generosity, for all of the ways that you can give. There are some ways such as sending a check through the mail to 717 Orchard Avenue in Wilmington, North Carolina. You can donate on Facebook. You can donate on our website. The donate button is at the top. Tune in to that thought, that impulse, and let the impulse lead you for your giving. If you've been touched or moved or inspired by anything today, we invite you to share with someone. Share this Facebook Live. Share something that you appreciated from the talk. Share something that you learned that you're going to put into action, so that what we're doing is we're uplifting the very frequency of the planet by our sharing with love and with gratitude.
Why be afraid if I'm not alone? Life is never easy, the rest is unknown. And up to now for me it's been hands against stone. Each and every moment searching for what to believe. Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. Coming out of the dark, I know the love that saved me. sharing with me. Starting again is part of the plan, and I'll be so much stronger holding your hand. And step by step I'll make it through, I know I can. It may not make it easier, but I have felt you here all the way. Coming out of the dark, I finally see the light now, and it's shining on me. Coming out of the dark, I know the love that saved me, you're sharing with me. Forever, we'll stand on the rock of your love. Forever, ever, oh, ain't nobody stop me, watch me. Forever, ever, stand on the rock of your love is all it takes. Oh, coming out of the dark, I see a light, I feel light. Oh, it's shining on me. Oh, out of the dark. Oh, you see the light now, shining down, shining on me. Oh, coming out of the dark, I feel love, I feel light. Oh, it's shining on me. Oh, coming out of the dark.
Oh, lovely. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Paul. Woo.
Today's daily word is light.
Perfect for coming out of the dark.
It certainly is. The light of God surrounds me. Let's say that together. The light of God surrounds me. And then we're going to add one more piece. I am light, for that is who and what we are. We are light beings, invited to shine and be the light of the world.
In your world of light, if you are looking for prayer support, we are honored to offer and be with you in prayer. If you would like prayer support, you may call us. Our telephone number is 910-763-5155, and we'll return your call. You can email revnikkigolden@gmail.com and ask her directly, or go to our website, and on our prayer page there's a link for a form that has prayer submission. We are honored to be in the light, to come out of the darkness with you.
One of the ways that we do that is we remember who we are. We are beloved expressions of God.
We are here for a holy purpose.
And we are always in the right time, in the right place, in the right moment.
Right now. So I invite you to engage in those great denials. There is no evil. There is no absence of life. You can master anything. Sickness, poverty, none of that has control over you unless you give it to them. And finally, there is nothing in the universe to fear, for you and the He that is within you is greater than anything that's out there. You have the capacity with faith to transmute your old self and step into the new. Welcome to the light.